This morning, Russell Brand was officially charged by the Metropolitan Police on 4 heinous allegations by 4 separate women in an investigation that has lasted nearly 2 years. Now, while I haven't covered this story as much as I've covered others, I have a little, and I have expressed my own private bias in that I have a friend who I do believe was abused by Russell Brand. I shared that tweet this morning, and after I got some replies to it, along with seeing Russell Brand's response, I felt the need to respond. Welcome to Popcorn Planet. I am Andy Signore. And look, I know a lot of you are like, Andy, how can you make a judgment call on Russell Brand like you did this morning on Twitter? How can you just believe it? Come on, what about Justin and Johnny and Listen, the reality is, I do have some bias on this. I've never hid that from you guys. I'm always trying to be fully transparent. I've just never been able to share more of that story until now. I actually spoke to my friend this morning. My friend never came forward. She was in a movie with Russell, and in a scene, he took it too far, is how I'll say it. I don't want to get into too much graphic detail. She did give me permission, but I'm still trying to be a little bit protective of her. He, according to her, reached in and grabbed her parts aggressively in a scene without her permission. Look, the details of it don't really matter much. The reality of it is that she didn't share this story with me for clout. She didn't share the story with me recently. She shared this story with me at the bottom of my rock bottom moment when I was suffering through the beginning of the Me Too movement. This was a person who had been very close to me. We were friends and we had, worked together. And she was shocked by the allegations leveled against me. And she spoke and reached out to me to speak to me and give her support. And in that conversation, as I was opening up about my raw experiences, she opened up about hers. We weren't on a podcast. She wasn't looking to get fame. She wasn't looking to get anything. She shared this story to me back then in a moment that I'll never forget. And her story never left me. I always remembered her sharing the story in the more detail and just how much she was hurt by it. How she tried to get evidence and talk to the producers of the movie and they did nothing. And then how she got blackballed from Hollywood after it. And this wasn't some just random person that I got to be careful. She's lying to you, Andy. No, there was no intent from that at all. And in fact, as I've still stayed in touch, we talk all the time and talk about this case in general, she wants nothing to do with it. Not because she doesn't want to get justice for Russell, but because she fears of all of the types of replies that came to this thread. And it really did open my eyes to sort of how we need to look at these cases. Of course, Russell Brand is innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. I've always said that. In fact, in my reporting, in my attempt to be neutral, even though I felt very strongly against him, I actually reported positively and supported him when he got pulled off of YouTube, off of the mere allegations. The reality is we can make opinions on people, but we can't cancel them off of YouTube and platforms until there's real hardcore evidence. But here's the problem. Here's the problem with Russell Brand that I feel like a lot of people on Twitter and everybody in his audience keep trying to ignore. The biggest, there's numerous examples, and if you guys really want me to delve in deeper, I can. But this one's the hardest one for me to ignore. And the biggest response back is, oh, the texts are fake. The texts are fake. Well, then Russell proved that. Show it. He promised he would sort of show that this was all fake, and he's still yet to do it. Now, in his response, he talks about how he's excited to be able to defend himself, and great. Let's hear his side. But these texts, if they are true, prove it, guys. Like, he apologizes, this woman, after a horrific night. I'm sorry that was crazy and selfish. I hope you can forgive me. I know that you're a lovely person. You scared the F out of me. You're right. I'm a lovely person. And for you to take advantage of me like this is unacceptable. You have a problem and you need help. It's dangerous that you think you can get your own way all the time. Do you know how scary you are when that glaze comes over you? I mean, the text continues, guys. I got to be careful. When a girl says NO, it means it. Do I have to go and get myself tested? Last time, you asked me if I had protection or not. When I said use protection, it doesn't mean optional. You don't have the best reputation. I pride myself on being safe and trying to make the right decisions. Obviously, this was a bad one. I'm so disappointed. And his response, I'm very sorry. You don't need to get tested. I will make this up to you somehow with love and kindness. Not my original idea, which was more X. You've been so lovely to me. I'm so embarrassed of my behavior. Will you ever forgive me? Look, these aren't good. These aren't good. And I don't care if he's found Jesus now. He's still got to atone for the things he did in his past that he still continues to try to tell you all never happened. And my problem with Russell Brand, even beyond what I know about my friend, which sure, as people in my thread, even my own colleagues, Colonel Kurtz, etc., trying to tell me, oh, well, we don't know your friend. It's all hearsay. Sure. Sure, that's true. But I hope some of you who know me will know, and I don't just take some random thing as facts. I never do. There's context matters. And the context of that story of what my friend told me when she told me, and the fact that she still doesn't want to come on streams to talk about it out of fear of retaliation from what I can see so quite clearly in my own thread, just in a minor sake. You'll forgive us if it's hearsay. What is she specifically? Basically, everybody's like, unless there's evidence, it didn't happen. Why didn't she do it then? My God. And look, typically, stay neutral. The girl who accused you also had friends who believed her story. Look, I hear all of you, but the reality is I'm not just believing one thing that came up. The reality is I was never charged with anything. There was no other people accusing that same thing. As people who actually did their work and research, they realized there wasn't actually anything to get against me except that I was unfaithful. But that's not illegal. That's not illegal. And I still did my best to atone for that privately. And I still, always to this day, I'm trying to work on myself to be a better person. I'm not perfect. I'm not here to cancel anybody. I don't want to cancel people. But this isn't just about some inappropriate behavior. The allegations in this case are extreme, and there is proof. And I personally do believe the person who talked to me, my friend, and I do believe her. I do. Now, and I know that doesn't hold up in court. I know that doesn't mean you have to, and I don't ask you to. I'm just trying to very clearly and transparently tell you why I will not be here on this channel defending Russell Brand. I think Russell Brand, there's enough evidence against him that he needs to defend himself at this point. And the fact that he's going to have to do that in court, great. Let's see it all out. But I will say his response, if I'm really keeping it honest with you now, I'm sharing my opinions, guys. You can judge me and hate me all you want for you disagreeing with my opinion, but that is what I've tried to build this platform on, just like Russell has, where we can all have these complicated conversations and attempt to agree to disagree. And in this regard, I do believe he knew this was coming. I do believe he set himself up as an anti-mainstream media correspondent so he could rally a lot of people against him. He set this tone up early on when he did his first response to this.
Very serious allegations that I absolutely refute. These allegations pertain to the time when I was working in the mainstream, when I was in the newspapers all the time, when I was in the movies, and as I've written about extensively in my books, I was very, very promiscuous. Now, during that time of promiscuity, the relationships I had were absolutely always consensual. I was always transparent about that then, almost too transparent. And I'm being transparent about it now as well. And to see that transparency metastasized into something criminal that I absolutely deny makes me question, is there another agenda at play?
That's always what it's been. That's always what he's been trying to do. It's the liberal media coming against him because he's reporting against them, and that's what this is. And honestly, I can see why a lot of people buy that, because sadly, that does happen in mainstream media. I'm not here to try to dispute that, but also take a moment, if you're really a conspiracy theorist, what if someone's taking advantage of that theory to use to their own gain? If you really want to be neutral, you're not just here defending Russell, you're asking both sides. Someone who's neutral is looking at both sides. And the people who are getting mad at me are the people who are mad at me that I'm believing my friend and I'm believing the text evidence. And that tells me you are not neutral. Because the reality is it's very easy to exploit this narrative of mainstream media is out to get me. They're going to report on this. And then what could you add beyond politics to really put it over the edge? What else could you do if you were trying to get ahead of a news cycle and negative news about yourself, really bad essay type of allegations? What else could you do? Maybe, you know what? You could find Jesus. What an opportune time to find Jesus.
Hello. Firstly, thank you for these incredible and overwhelming messages of support. We're very fortunate in a way to live in a time where there's so little trust in the British government. We're very fortunate, I suppose, that this is happening at a time where we know that the law has become a kind of weapon to be used against people, institutions, and sometimes entire nations that will not accept and tolerate levels of corruption that are unprecedented. I'm speaking particularly to those of you that are watching this in the UK. How do you feel about your legal system?
So much deflection here. And again, I get it. He's not wrong. He's not wrong, but it's pretty brilliant if he's lying to you, isn't it?
Right now, how do you feel about some of the high-profile cases that are not being pursued and prosecuted? How do you feel that the Southport murders were handled? How do you feel about the government of Keir Starmer? Now, that's just sort of general context. Me, I've always told you guys that when I was young and single, before I had my wife and family, who were just out of shot over there, my beautiful children, I was a fool, man. I was a fool. before I lived in the light of the Lord. I was a drug addict, a sex addict, and an imbecile. But what I never was a rapist. I've never engaged in non-consensual activity. I pray that you can see that by looking in my eyes. I want to thank all of you for your
He prays that you see that. He prays that you see that now.
continuing support. I want to let you know that our show will be on Rumble on Monday. Thanks for your support there. And of course, I'm now going to have the opportunity to defend these charges in court, and I'm incredibly grateful for that. In the meantime, you lot, stay free, and we will be continuing to discuss this matter. Praise the Lord.
Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. Look, again, maybe he's telling the truth. Fine. Maybe he's telling the truth. Maybe my friend's lying. I will do that for you all. I will attempt to be neutral, even though clearly I'm not. It's frustrating because when I talk to my friend today and how emotional she still is as this always comes up when she's got to see him, there's nothing about, well, I'm getting clout, I'm getting for clicks. There's no reason she would make this up. There just isn't. And I don't ask you to believe her because I know you don't have the details I do, but I'm just telling you, this whole experience makes me realize we're not always being neutral. We are demanding that victims provide video, timestamped evidence, texts that are proven, blah, 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 blah. Like there's just, we've swung the pendulum so far over that now they're all liars, and all the celebrities, all the rich people, they're the truth. It's always the mainstream media. I just don't think enough people care about Russell Brand that much to do this whole campaign. Personally, I don't. Joe Rogan's still in the air. Tucker Carlson's still in the air. There's a lot of really conservative and free-thinking people that are still on YouTube that didn't get pulled from YouTube. So this idea that Russell Brand was the real enemy against the mainstream media, I mean, really? To do it to this extent, to get the Metropolitan Police to go follow through on allegations they're going to have to spend money on in court? Really? Especially when you can go back and just watch a little bit of these videos. I have one clip I wanted to pull before I wrap this up. Here it is. Like, he's done it to himself.
From Essex, from a single parent family. That's a pretty comprehensive show off.
Yeah.
So that's like, I suppose if there's anything being protected, it's that. Oh, and also I raped someone once.
That's so funny. Look, it's not funny to me, especially when I do believe my friend. And to all you, Andy, how could you do that? People believed your accuser. My accuser was a clear liar. It was clearly proven. There wasn't other case studies that even, and a history of it, and there weren't criminal charges. Now there are. There are real criminal charges. There's a lot piled up, and it's part of the reason why I stayed out and didn't get involved until he was officially charged. And now that he's been officially charged, yeah, my friend's story takes even more weight in my mind. And if you judge me for that or think I'm not being neutral because of that, well, then shame on you, because you don't care or respect my reporting of the news and how I do it, because I wouldn't just believe some random person. I never would. This wasn't just some random story. The context of hers matters. And sure, it's not concrete evidence or proof, guys. I get it. But her fear, her hurt, I see it. And it makes me think, if she's so afraid to come forward, how many others are? How many others are afraid to feel the wrath of just the few people in my thread who are coming out to me to sort of look at this? And I mean, of course, does your friend have proof, evidence, videos, pictures? It's wild. There's some agreeing. It's amazing how many of these liars can find Jesus and still remain liars. There are people who are seeing through this. There really are. Were you there when he supposedly abused your friend? If not, don't state that as a fact. Well, I wasn't trying to state a fact. I want to be very clear. This is what my friend says, and I believe my friend. And given all the other evidence that's out there against Russell, I do think it's now up to him to prove that the texts are false and everything else. I do. Because there is clearly some evidence, and I imagine the Metropolitan Police have more evidence. And just because the UK system and the American system are broken and the mainstream media is crooked, that doesn't just mean we have to say Russell Brand's, there's a hit piece against him. I find all of this use of Jesus, of the mainstream's out to get me, it boils my blood because it's deflection. If you said you'd show evidence, dude, you said this. I've been waiting. You said you'd do it back then. We have evidence. He said this, guys. I'll bring it. And now I guess he's waited till charging. Maybe that's wiser legally. But at this point, okay, let's see this evidence that proves those text messages of you apologizing are fake. Because I don't care if he found Jesus. I don't care if he's better now. He may be. And good for him for getting better. but that shouldn't mean he shouldn't have to still take accountability for the past. And sure, accusers can lie, but so can rich celebrities. We have to be truly neutral and ask those questions. And I'm trying my best, even with my own bias, to do that here as well. So let's see how this goes out. He is innocent until proven guilty. He will have his day in court. But please know if I respond and react to this case, you now have a little bit more transparency on why I'm reporting it the way I am. And I do want to say again, I do believe my friend. And if you were watching, friend, you are so strong and brave. And you've given me a perspective on things and support in my darkest hour of the Me Too movement that I don't care what the haters say. I have your back on this. I trust you. I believe you. And stay strong. And I get why you don't want to come forward. I get it. I've never pushed her to. I would never push her to, and I'm not gonna push her to. I can see why she and others are so afraid to come forward just based off some of the responses out there, especially to these responses. Granted, my feed's giving me some of the people that don't. Good, they're actually. I'm seeing. I just look at my eyes, and you'll see I'm not. Yeah, okay, great. Eyes don't move. He's 100% telling the truth. Give it to the Lord, Russell. He knows your heart. Stop using religion as a way to get away with things. Religion is to help you be a better person, but you still must atone. That's what we all seem to forget in this day and age of social media. So I'm not here to add to it. I'm here to share my opinion. That is my opinion on this case. I do lean towards something smells fishy here in my purview, and that's how I will be looking at this through the lens. But Russell, prove me wrong. Let's see how this goes in court. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that bell for alerts, and smash that like button as well. We do have updates on the response from Justin to Blake Lively. God, the comparison, real charges here versus what Blake is accusing. It again makes me so infuriated, and why we report on the Blake Lively case so much, to show just how insanely ridiculous and time wasting Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds are. It is sickening what they're doing for actual victims. And again, reiterating that, yeah, that people lie. It is truly disgusting, and why I'm so passionate about that case as well, because now we've seen the evidence coming in and Blake has none, and her accusations aren't even worth it. The whole thing is crazy, but we have an attorney coming in to actually break that down, so stay tuned. Hit the subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you guys so much for watching. We got a lot more coming for you here on Popcorn Planet.